Hey, folks, you think I'd be ready for this, and I'm not. Stand by. Here we go. Let's do the show opener. Everything's switched around on me for some reason. All right, you ready for this? Here we go. Boom.
You're listening to the Intrepid radio program with Scotty Roberts. Intelligent Talk.
All right, folks, we're actually here now. This is Scotty Roberts. Welcome to the program. This is the Intrepid radio program right here on the Odyssey Radio Network. That's ODYSY1.com. Come on over to Odyssey Radio. See all the goodness that is Odyssey Radio. And as a matter of fact, you can watch archives of this show going on over there right now as we are still broadcasting in the Makeshift Studio down in Louisiana. And so welcome to the show. You're watching me via my YouTube stream. That's youtube.com/Mr. Scotty Roberts. Welcome to the show. You're going to see the wiggling in the camera. Once again, that's because the way we're mounted up here on the tripod and the fact that the trailer shakes every time somebody so much as has a heartbeat, it vibrates everything. Woo, woo. And so you're going to see a little vibration in that tonight. We just had the Mexicans over a few minutes ago. And they always kind of scurry out of here before I start the show. They think they're going to bother me, and they really aren't. I told them they should stick around and come on the show, but they didn't. They had other things to do. So, hey, everybody. Hey, Roger Rabbit, good to see you. Steph, great to see you as well. James, good to see you. Doug Stack, nice to see you in here tonight. Romeldian, good to see you. And Scott Allen, so far so good, everybody. Good to see all field guys around, too. I saw him a bit earlier, but he's not here right now. I don't think he is. And if he is, that's okay. He'll come in and say hi. So I want to thank you. Where's my camera tonight? Is it over there? Or is it over there? Where's my eyes looking at you? What side of that? I've got that in backwards tonight. But, you know, all it is, I've got it mounted in one of those little clips like that, my phone. We're having to broadcast from the phone because I have to use the phone internet, because our internet still doesn't work here. The guy who owns the place said he's going to have fiber optics put in, but he doesn't know how long that's going to take. He's got it on order. And once that happens, I may not even be here anymore. We'll see what happens. And so, so I think I'm looking at you guys right there on that side of the camera. Yeah, boom. Let's see. Yep, that's it right there. And I can't see anything else because I got bright light in my face, so everything else is silhouetted. And so thank you once again for being here. How is your life today? How is life shaping up for you? What is your neighborhood like, or your place of business, or the people you socialize with? And this is not the topic tonight, but I just want to ask, after the verdict, the Derek Chauvin verdict yesterday for the whole George Floyd case, how's things going for you there? Are you finding? I'm finding a lot of people around me are like so happy that Derek Chauvin got convicted. Now, of course, he will go up on appeal. He's already appealed it, but I'm finding the overwhelming majority of people that, at least that I know in my circles, are overjoyed, and it's such a great thing for the Black community that Derek Chauvin got convicted. And I ask right away these people, I say, well, what's it got to do with the Black community? Now, we all know, I know what the answer is to that one. But once the trial of an individual who was in law enforcement, who, according to the prosecution, used excessive force, that it was accidental murder, they're calling it basically accidental murder. That's what they're calling it, unintentional murder. So when that happens, why would the whole community, what is it about George Floyd, a man who was a criminal, a man who probably died of a drug overdose, but that's not being so much considered as much as the excessive force by the police. So everybody's cheering When you go to Minneapolis, there's George Foreman Square. Now, they've got a part of the city with a monument to George Floyd. Is it because people really do believe that? Okay, I'm not going to put any thoughts in your head. I'm going to ask you, why are people so overjoyed about this? I see radio, says Field Guy. And, Roger Rabbit says, hey there, fellas, I'm here but cooking dinner, so I'll just be watching and listening. Glad to be here with you all tonight. You're cooking dinner at 9 p.m.? You guys eat late. Roger, we cooked dinner here a couple hours ago, and I'm absolutely stuffed. I made chicken stir fry. I diced up some chicken and browned it, and I used bok choy and leeks and broccoli and red bell peppers and chicken broth. This is what I cook it in, and we did that all up, and rice, of course, and it was very good. It's very good, but I had too much of it. Too much of a good thing can even make you full. So what are you guys making over there, Roger Rabbit? Just let us know. Let us know what you're doing over there. What are you cooking? And everybody else, the original question I started with. I'm looking at some of the responses here. WWL-TV YouTube page did a video today, and the headline was African Americans are happy, but it's not enough. Of course it's not enough. You know why? This is a slap of salve on what would be a wound. This isn't going to make them happy. The people who are for pushing forward an agenda that, of course, the Derek Chauvin case represented. My QB spoke today, and I think we need Breeze, Circle, and NOLA. I have no idea what any of that means. So James said the prosecution use of force witness actually said the officer would have been justified in using more force and could have used a taser. Doug Stack had chicken Alfredo tonight. All right, Doug. Mr. 90 pounds lighter than he was a while back. I was in charge of children's ministry at church tonight, so I still haven't eaten supper, says Kevin Miller, bookworm. And well, go ahead and eat your supper. Sometimes we don't eat until late anyway. I do this show every night. I've done this show every night at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time for the last almost 2 years. This particular version of the show. So, grilled chicken with Alfredo pasta and green peas, says James. Nice. Steph says, yeah, it's never enough. You're right, Steph. It's never enough. That's why we don't placate it. You don't make that the core. You certainly don't put a man on trial because, come on in. You can come on in. You certainly don't put a man on trial to determine the rest of his life over an issue like this. Was the man on trial, or was it supposed to be a symbolic trial? I hate symbolic trials. Do you know why? Because symbolic trials never really end up with real justice being served. It's a symbol of something. So that's what I'm finding out as well. Hey, Teresa, good to see you. And who else slipped in here? And so that is my take on it. I'm seeing people all around me making comments about it. I also had another topic that came up today, and I'm wondering what you guys think of this. This is a topic that let's see if I can access it right now. I'm pretty sure I can. I was going to call it up ahead of time, but I didn't. Somebody put up a post that said something about why are we spending $378 billion a year on our defense budget, but not doing anything about health care? Now, first of all, I see a lot of posts like that about various topics. Why are we spending this on this when we have this problem? Why are we doing this when there's that? And people make these false comparatives. There is no comparison to be made between a defense budget and a healthcare budget. One thing is that the Constitution provides for the federal government's job is to do what? To protect our borders, to protect us. It doesn't spell out anything about healthcare, even though it talks about the common welfare and so on and so forth. So those kinds of questions get asked. And I got into an interesting conversation with somebody over that because he wanted to side rail that and start talking about how, well, he said, I said, I gave a simple answer to my friend's question. As a friend of mine, I know her in personal life, real life, not just social Facebook. But she asked this question about why are we spending $738 billion, I think it is, on defense and nothing on healthcare. And I said, well, because the federal government's job is to protect our borders and to defend the nation. And I said, healthcare is important too, but it's a completely different issue. And this is where people, they take these things and they lump all the issues together. And they try to make these comparatives, and they're false comparatives. Hey, Catherine Sanders, good to see you. Nice to see you. I haven't seen you for a while. Lots of interesting ideas floating around here all the time. All the time. We just got started tonight, Catherine. Let's see. James says, the Constitution says the federal government must provide a military for our country's defense. It doesn't mention your doctor bill. And that's true. Now, people have tried to make the Constitution fit into that by saying, well, it does talk about the common welfare. Well, that we had a different meaning 250 years ago. Field guy says, the U.S. pisses off everyone. That's why. He says, and he laughs. James says, imagine if car insurance worked like they want health insurance to. It doesn't. Now, I am a firm believer. Let me put this condition on everything I'm talking about here. And this isn't even the topic tonight. I'm going to hit a different topic, but I want to put a condition on something, a caveat, if you will. While I talk about this stuff, and I'm fairly conservative, I don't believe that there's anybody in this country that should go without decent health care. Now, we might say we already have that, but that's just not the truth. I know people on lesser forms of health care, if you will, public health care, they can't get things like a decent pair of glasses. They can get glasses, but because it's public, it's like, here, we're going to give you this box that you can choose from so you look like a poor person instead of an average person. Maybe I'm being a little flippant with that, but that's the way that comes across. Or I know people on public health that where their dental is covered, say they've got a root canal that needs to be done. Why? Because a tooth goes bad. You ever had an abscessed tooth? You know what that feels like? Well, you go into the dentist and you find out you can get the root canal, and the root canal is covered, but the crowning of the root canal is something you have to pay for out of your pocket, which usually costs between $900 and $1,100. I've been there, folks. I know. And so what does a poor person do? They either have to have the tooth pulled or they get it all drilled out in the root canal and they get it packed, but they can't get it crowned. So I look at those things and I say, you know what? There should be something that helps people who cannot pay their bills, who cannot afford to have health care, who cannot afford to have dental care. But then what do you do? How far does that stretch? Do you help people who can't afford car insurance? What if you need a car to go to work, but you can't afford the insurance? I've known people in that category. Or they get a ticket for driving without insurance. And then they still have to drive to work, but then they get another ticket and they get thrown in jail for 90 days. Or fined more money than they make in a month. And so our system is, yes, it's mixed up. There are problems there. So James says, I just got my teeth pulled, or I grabbed my pair of pliers and a bottle of Jack. Yeah, that's the old-fashioned way to do it, isn't it? So, so healthcare, mental health care, Amanda B. from Australia brings up. What do we do about this? Catherine says we could afford healthcare 250 years ago. We traded chickens and eggs for healthcare. That's very true. Can't do that nowadays. I go see my Doc Dietzler, and I tell him I need this surgical procedure done. Here's a chicken and a pig. It's probably not going to fly. Um, Field guy says, I don't drive thanks to the state telling me I have bad eyes. Maybe the state could help you by giving you some kind of surgical procedure. I don't know. This is just a suggestion. I'm being flippant a little bit. Ryan Gale says, I have insurance and I still can't afford health care. There it is, Ryan. You have people who have insurance through your company. Have you looked at your paycheck? Or you probably know up front what your company pulls out for health care. There are some people who make, let's say you make, I'm going to use just round figures. You make $1,500 a week. All right. Maybe to some that would seem high. I'm sorry if it seems high to you. Maybe there are some people who says that's very low. $1,500 a week. Well, that's $6,000 a month gross. So not many people that make that. What is that? 6,000 a month times what's 6 times 12? That's 72,000 a year, roughly, annually. So that's a lot of money compared to some people. But let's just use round figures. So you make 1,000 a month. Or 1,000 a week. That's 4,000 a month. Your insurance, you will find, generally costs you $500 to $600 a month deducted from your paycheck. And so you see what you're left with. That's an expensive proposal. And then you have your insurance, your deductible. So all of this, I'm getting into minutia, and I didn't want to do that. What I'm talking about is, ought there be some kind of health care in place so that nobody falls through the cracks? That's the idea. That's what I would be for. That I don't think everybody in the United States deserves health care. But I don't believe that there's anybody who deserves to be without it. Now, let me explain what I mean by that. If you make $1 million a year, you shouldn't have to use the same kind of public assistance health care that would help others who are in need. So I think that it's necessary. I was a single dad, remember? Single dad of 3 kids. I had sole custody of them. They lived with me. I was making squat at the time. I'd have my good months, my celebratory months. Hey, the Roberts household had a banner month. But that didn't always play out for the next 3 months. And so we had public health care. We were on assistance. We were on food assistance. I was on rental assistance in Minnesota. This was all just before I met Raining, because I needed the assistance. And I wasn't making enough money, and I was being a full-time dad. If one of my kids had a serious illness or a serious problem, we were covered under state insurance. But what about those who aren't? So all of that to say this, I'm spending way too much time on the topic that's not going to be the topic at all tonight. And I'm just talking about it and around it rather than to the salient details of it. But let me say this. We have a defense budget, and that needs to be there. It should not be juxtaposed against why we aren't providing just as much money to help people who need health care. They're two completely different things, is the point I'm making. And in this conversation, this guy side-railed the conversation when we were talking about military spending, and he brought up the January 6th storming of the Capitol issue and said, well, there was an insurrection and our military was nowhere to be found. Why are we spending that much on the military if they aren't there to help? And we got into a discussion on whether or not there was actually an insurrection. And I do not believe it was. It was not an insurrection. And every one of his points, he became more and more insulting to me. Nope, you're wrong, he says. You're just simply wrong. Don't you do your homework on this and that? And he would state points, but he would not present any kind of factual source material. I've been guilty of that too. I have an opinion about things. Now, I told him, if you want to offer your opinion, that's just fine. Let's talk about that. But I said, you can't say this was this and thus is so if you cannot provide facts to back that up. And I countered all of his points about Trump being responsible. He said Trump put the oath takers, that he was behind sending them out because one of the oath takers, the 10 of whom were indicted in court, or indicted and are facing court, said, we did what Trump said we should be doing. You know what? That doesn't mean Trump met with them or sent out orders to them. That means that they said, Trump, they based it on a tweet. There was a tweet that Trump put out and said, join us on January 6th in Washington for a Stop the Steal rally. It's going to be wild. And the oath takers took that. The president just said, it's going to be wild in Washington. Let's make it wild. And that's what they're basing that. So you can see there's all these different interpretations, misinterpretations, misquotes. And it got me to thinking about conspiracy theories and how we deal with those. We've talked about conspiracy theories before on this show. Now, I've just thrown a lot of stuff out at you to talk about, but I want to go other places than just that. Michelle Canham free. She's driving. Nice to see that you're at least here while you're driving. That's fantastic. Audrey, how you doing? Welcome to the show tonight. Barbie D, good to see you. Amanda B, I didn't actually say hi to you tonight. Amanda B said, that's me paying tiny bit extra for things, but it's worth it in my eyes. I want you all to have as well. Yeah, we all should have that, but who provides that for us? Do we provide that for ourselves? There's a big question about all of that stuff. There's big arguments that go back and forth on that stuff, which we shall not be hitting tonight, unless you guys are going to talk about it in the chat room, because I'm going to talk about other things. But it got me thinking this whole thing about conspiracy theories. And I wanted to talk about what makes people believe conspiracy theories. See, I think there's a lot of conspiracy theories on the right in politics, a lot on the left. This guy tonight was talking about what his favorite conspiracy theory was, that Trump was out to overthrow America. And I said, that's a little too out there for me. I said, I don't believe that at all. And I said, I could probably provide facts to counter your conspiracy, but you'll just keep quoting the conspiracy. So the big question comes up, like the title of Michael Shermer, who is the titular head of the skeptics in the United States, maybe even the world for all I know. One of his books was Why Do Good People Believe Stupid Things? Something like that title. And why do good people believe weird things or stupid things? And it leads me to ask the same question. Why do people believe stupid stories like that? And they're good people at heart. Well, we all have conspiracy theories. We all know what they are. We've all experienced them. We all may have been part of some of the conspiracy theories that are out there. But let's talk about that. The psychology of flat earthers, of anti-vaxxers. Now, I may be against the current vaccine for various reasons, but it's not because I'm a stalwart anti-vaxxer. I don't like to be anybody's guinea pig, number one. I have a problem taking a vaccination that's not been tested. Well, it's being tested right now, right? Well, it's because we're the guinea pigs. I don't want something that hasn't been approved by the FDA. People say, well, you took a vaccine for smallpox. And yeah, when I was a kid, almost 60 years ago, 55 years ago. Yeah, I've had vaccines before. I've even had flu shots before. But I don't want to get this particular one. There's too much controversy wrapped up around the COVID issue. I'm going to wait for that to all settle down. That's another topic too. We're not talking about that tonight. But about conspiracy theories. Maybe my whole thing with COVID, the whole COVID thing, yeah, it's a real disease and people have died from it. I don't believe as many people have died from it as they state. And I think there's been too much information about that. I don't think masks are effective at all scientifically. You cannot. A mask doesn't even slow it down. You would have to totally seal off your breathing in order for a mask to be effective. And there's all the issues on that. So maybe I'm a conspiratorialist in a sense. I believe that there is something else going on behind the scenes. I want to know why all these things start linking together. And so these are questions I ask. So why do we believe in conspiracy theories? Why do we have? I'm not an anti-vaxxer. That's why that came up. This is all about the psychology of flat earthers, anti-vaxxers, truthers, people like that. So with the recent DVD release of Behind the Curve, it was a documentary about flat earthers in which they go through the whole conspiracy theory about it. Why are people drawn? It raised these questions. Why are people drawn to conspiracy theories? What are they seeking when they first go down the rabbit hole? And are there any specific personality types that are more prone to conspiracy theories than others? Now, this is something I want you to think about as we start talking about this. Now, there's been a lot of recent work in psychology attempting to figure out why there are some people who are particularly drawn to conspiracy theories and tend to have a greater need for some kind of cognitive closure. They believe in conspiracies, they need a cognitive closure. The desire to find an explanation when explanations are lacking, and to be unique. And they're more likely to have a cognitive bias called hypersensitive agency detection. Hypersensitive agency detection. What the hell is that? Well, that's teleologic thinking. You might go, okay, what the hell is that? This is where events are attributed to hidden forces, purposes, and motives. And so some research has also found that conspiracy beliefs are associated many times with lower levels of education and analytic thinking. How does that make you feel? If you believe in some conspiracy theories or you have this teleologic thinking, maybe it's just because you have lower levels of education and your analytic thinking doesn't work very well. So there's a first thing to consider. So that being said, studies have revealed that half of the U.S. population believes at least in one political or medical conspiracy theory. Nearly half of us do that. And so belief in conspiracy theories is far more normal than many of us might think. You know, you can have a conspiracy theory about the moon landing. You can have a conspiracy theory about what's behind COVID, what's behind masks, what's behind vaccine, what's behind needing to show your vaccination card to travel certain places. There are some people I know in religious circles that have looked at this and said that there was a thing in eschatology, end times theology, that talked about, in the biblical prophecies, it said that everybody would have to wear the mark of the beast in their forehead or on their forearms somewhere. And that without this mark, they could not buy and sell. And then they were persecuted for it. And so in prophetic speak, 2,000-year-old prophetic speak, and there's a lot of people who have thought, I wonder if this is what that's talking about, that you can't buy or sell, you can't travel, you can't do this, you can't do that, if you don't have your vax card. And it's a conspiracy theory. It's a biblical conspiracy theory, but it's out there. Slightly Slanted Sleuth, welcome. We're trying to fill the void of self-knowing, of no self-knowing, says SSS. And yeah, I think you're onto something there. So Steve, good to see you. I don't know if I saw you earlier. Nice to have you in the show. Louis Boyce, coming from the people who believe Common Core math. Yeah, exactly. Oh, 2 + 2 = 5? Why, that's very good for you. Very nice job. Anyway, so David Kessel, come on in, guys. Come on in. Oh, it's locked? I'm on radio, so you'll have to get Sam to come up and... There you go. Sam will come up and let you in. All right. Joe Sapiens, good to see you, by the way. I don't know what I was saying there, but Joe says, my friend says that those who believe in conspiracy theories have a religious bias. Furthermore, that kind of mindset is intellectually slothful as well as a bit of cowardice. And I think you're right to a certain extent there, Joe. Let's see. Doug Stack, 8 plus 8 is 27. That's right, damn it. I forgot that since my school days. Lewis Boy says, ooh. Oh, I got a guest. I don't have a guest, but I can, you know what? I can certainly put up. Lewis Boyce is saying, ooh, guest Scotty. Are you wanting to come in and talk, Lewis? By the way, let me do this now because I didn't do it earlier. If I wanted to invite you guys to come in and talk on this show, I'm going to copy this like we do every night, and I'm going to post it. Now, look at this link. If you want to call into the show and you want to add your thoughts here, this is where you do it. Go to this link. If I can make it happen. Come on now. Okay. Okay. Not sure why it's not working. Let's try this. Come on. Paste. All right, folks, pardon me for doing this. I got to get up close and do this. For some reason, it won't paste for me. I don't know why. Okay, we got to go backwards a step. Not quite sure why that's not working. Let's try that one more time. I'm going to go post a comment, and we're going to see if we can paste it. It must not have copied because it won't paste. Let's try that one more time. Sorry to interrupt the show with this, but I think it's important. I'm going to copy it to the clipboard, and I'm going to go back over here, and we're going to paste this link right here. And I'm sorry, I have to do this on my phone because we're in the Makeshift Studio tonight. This is what it does. So let's see, post. And for some reason, it will not let me post the link, and I don't know why. Post. Nope, doesn't want to do it. We'll try one more time. Guests invite and copy to the clipboard. Copy. And how's this for scintillating radio? Paste. It pasted the word clipboard. How about that? All right, we'll get to that eventually. I don't want to keep wasting my time on that and your time. So let's see what we got going on here. So my chat disconnected. Let me reconnect. Okay, y'all still there with me? Okay, I think we're back now. I can't copy the link for some reason. It will not let me paste it. Nope, doesn't let me do it. All right. So much for that. You know what? Let's give it one more valiant effort here. And it's hard to do the way we're set up here. So let me see if I can do this. I can do this. I can copy it to the clip. It does not want to let me do it tonight. It's doing weird things. Copy to the clipboard, copied. There, maybe it'll do it now. Post the comment and paste. There it is. Boom. And sorry for all the camera movement and all of that. Like I say, we are in the Makeshift Studio down here in Louisiana. So I'm not in my regular studio, so it makes it very difficult to do crap around here. Let's see. Chat disconnected. Let's try it again. Can't be reached. My internet is doing funky things to me tonight. Connect. All right, guys. Even my own internet is having problems tonight, staying connected. Not sure what that is. There is the link. If you see that link, you can click on that link and you can call into the show. Have your webcam on, have your microphone on. You may even want a headset on so you don't get feedback. So that's the link. Go ahead. I will copy that. So I've actually got it in this other. I'm set up so weirdly here, folks. All right, there we go. That's it. Boom. All right. Field guy is in StreamYards now. What's he doing in StreamYards? Oh, does he want to come into this show? So yeah, if you want to contribute to the show, you can do that. So we're talking about conspiracy theories here. Let's see what Field Guy has to add for us about conspiracy theories. Let's get him in here. All right. There you are. No, wait, that's I got Scio Patriot 76. Is that you, Field Guy, or is that somebody totally different? All right, let's go here. And I want to see if I can get your sound up and running. See, I got to do this. I have no engineer. I got to do this all myself. Hey, how you doing over there?
What's up, Scotty? It's me, Lewis.
Hey, Lewis. How you doing, brother?
Good, man.
All right. Folks, let me know if you're picking up any kind of feedback because I do not have this hooked up. I should put on my headset. Go ahead, Lewis. What do you got to say about all this fun stuff?
I love conspiracy theories. I do.
Yeah?
I'm guilty of it. I've seen them all. Flat Earth.
Yeah?
On the moon. My favorite conspiracy theory of all time is world government does not exist. It's a figment of our imaginations. That's my favorite.
Well, what do you think is the conspiracy? The world government theory conspiracy, or that there is no world government?
Well, you know, the talking heads will tell you that, oh, we're not in world government. World government, it's never coming. You know, you're a conspiracy theorist and all that.
Okay.
We're in world government. We've been in world government since 1929.
I think we've been in world government for a much longer time than that, probably thousands of years. That doesn't mean every little island nation is controlled by something or every little banana republic. It just means that there is something going on much bigger in the world. And this whole new world order issue. And I don't know enough about it to talk about it cogently, but or succinctly. But there is enough going on in the world today where your major powers are certainly all run, I'm sure, by, and I say I'm sure because I can't prove it. I don't have it up in front of me. But I've dug into all this stuff many times. Your major world governments are all being controlled and manipulated. Now, I don't think that's as much a conspiracy theory as it would be by reptilians. Now, there is a conspiracy theory for you. I think it's just people. I think it's people.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, but I have the blueprints for federal world government, and it's what changed my life.
Interesting.
I found a 1937 Department of War training manual, and every once in a while, in the blue moon, I'll repost it. It got burnt up in a fire, but I was smart. I took video of it, and I also took pictures of it. So, you know, when I'm explaining to someone, I can pinpoint them to that video and that photo and say, look, this is what they want. And one of the things in world government is no borders, a world currency.
Yeah. World currency.
Every what else is it? An international army, which that's
what you got with the blue helmets in the UN.
Exactly. So, you know, this is it. We're in world government. We've been here.
Yes.
What do we do?
Corey Blake says it's a conspiracy that there are no virgins. I'm trying to figure out that conspiracy, Corey Blake. But welcome to the show tonight, anyway.
But
sure,
that's
Joe. Come on. So, all right. Well, very cool. We'll have to talk about that in greater detail. Now, aren't we doing a show together or something this Friday?
Saturday, the 24th.
Saturday
at 10 p.m. It's going to be on the 10 p.m. Eastern time.
Eastern. Yes. That's 9 p.m. here.
And that's going to be on the John Murchada show, where I'll post the link on my Facebook, and I'll send you a link, and this way you can send it out. But we'll coordinate all of it together. We got some really hard-hitting questions for you, my style.
Oh, yay. Well, why don't you go ahead and post the link on Facebook, and I'll share it, and you can come and join us. We're going to have a BS hour or two on Saturday night. My day off radio, as a matter of fact. So I might be drinking.
Bring the air. Yeah, I might too. Sounds like a good idea.
Right, that sounds good. And you know what? I'm feeling a little like a Batman villain, Batman from the 1960s, because my camera's all tilted. I'm like Ah, I'm the bad guy tonight. So
Oh,
my makeshift studio gear is not the best right now. So all right, Lewis, thanks for being
all right.
here. Thanks for coming on. I appreciate it, brother.
I appreciate you too. Thanks, Scotty. I'll see
All
you later.
right, we'll see you later. All right, let's get rid of. Oh, I didn't get rid of you. There you go. Now he's gone. Okay, this thing is a little wonky. It's really hard to get things going here. So if you want to call in, come on into the show. I'll see, like right now, there's nobody here. It says on guests. So if you want to come on in, follow that link. If you've got something to add to the show, and it'll pop up on my screen, and I'll be able to get you in here. Let me see. I do have to adjust that again. It's not sitting well. It's sagging. I'm sorry I have to do this during the show, but it makes for scintillating live broadcasting, huh? And so, yeah, that was Lewis Boyce. So let's go on with this. Let's what I was looking at here when we're talking about this whole thing of why people are drawn to conspiracies and all of this. The popularity of films like JFK, The Manchurian Candidate, Conspiracy Theory with Mel Gibson. If you never saw that one, I thought that was a pretty good movie. Came out, God, at least 20 years ago. These all illustrate how many of us can be drawn into a good conspiracy theory. And over the past few years, half the country has been anxiously expecting. We're anxiously expecting the Mueller report. You remember that? Remember what the Mueller report was on Trump's Russian collusion? That was all a conspiracy theory. And half the country was waiting with bated breath to catch their president that they didn't like. Well, half the country didn't like. To catch him in something colluding with the Russians. Just another political game being played. And it was a conspiracy theory. The other half believed the conspiracy was the Mueller investigation itself. And so, of course, occasionally conspiracy theories with them, one or another, it ends up being true. We saw which one ended up being true this time. So what, and they keep trying it over and over again, by the way. So what role do companies like YouTube, Google, Facebook all play in spreading conspiracy theories? So in the old days, people sought information from books, print newspapers, major network TV news, experts, and that's shifted dramatically since the internet, where most of us now seek out information online, and we get that information, we regurgitate it, where there are many, many, many other more sources of information than ever before. And one result has been that expertise is now devalued, and knowledge has been democratized. Now, just how much the internet is increasing belief in conspiracy theories isn't really clear quite yet. But we do know that for many people these days, going down the rabbit hole is primarily an online experience. And with something like belief that vaccines cause autism, is that a conspiracy theory? We don't know. There is certainly contradictory information from both sides. It's harder to distinguish between reliable information and misinformation when you're trying to find answers from social media. And so the nature of searching algorithms is such that once you click on something related to a conspiracy theory, you're more likely to see something else related to that or other conspiracy theories. All of us are susceptible to confirmation bias, the tendency to reinforce pre-existing beliefs when we look for information is confirmation bias. And with the amount of information available online that's tailored to our interests and our preferences, we're now living in an era of confirmation bias on steroids. And so you're seeing this all the time. This guy I dealt with earlier today, talking with him about his conspiracy theory about Trump being behind some sort of insurrection on January 6th. He gets his confirmation bias by all the other people that he sees talking about it, all the other news sources he sees talking about it. There's that confirmation bias. The same can be said for the other way around, though, by the way. So you have to be very careful with how you get your information. That's something we've talked about here before. Tracy Roberts says, we can't get together to meet and talk face to face. Is this on purpose? Are you referring to online, social media? I think it might be. But is that a conspiracy theory too? Who put that forward? I think the same way you do, Tracy. Why can't we just get together and talk face to face? That would be kind of nice. Let's see what else we got going on. I see a lot's going on in the chat room, and I'm not paying close attention. So, Corey Blake confirms what you're saying there, Tracy. That's why we're online. So, COVID restrictions. See, now here's the big question. Is there a conspiracy theory about COVID restrictions? Yeah, there is. There's a huge conspiracy theory about that. Is it true or is it false? We all know COVID is a real thing. We all know it kills people. Is it as bad as they say it is? Texas Joe says there are no conspiracies, but there are no coincidences either. There you go. There's one. There's another look at it. So are flat earthers, that type of conspiracy theory, are they any different from people who believe in other conspiracies? Is a flat earther any different from somebody who might believe Trump was in charge of tried to take over the government on January 6th of 2021? Well, it's kind of a yes and no. In general, I think it's a mistake to lump flat earthers into a homogenous group. The recent documentary Behind the Curve does a good job of highlighting that flat earthers are not a monolith. And so within the larger flat earth movement, there's some that are dilettantes looking for answers. And they're skeptical of mainstream teaching, and others that are far deeper down the rabbit hole. But research has shown that belief in one conspiracy theory predicts belief in others. And the general psychological makeup of those who believe in conspiracies, therefore, appears to be shared across different conspiracy theories. And the question then comes, why shouldn't we mock people who believe the earth is flat? What's a better way to deal with people who believe in conspiracies? I mock people who think the world is flat. The world is not flat, folks. Some believe, some of the flat earthers, it's a round disc, flat disc that's floating in space. Really? That makes a hell of a lot of sense when you go down to physics, a level of physics, doesn't it? Beth Kirkham says, flat earth, not going to even entertain it. Me either. I don't think it's a real thing. Although I've met some people who would swear that that is what we live on, a flat disc. So why should we mock these people? What's a better way to deal with people with these conspiracies like that? Ridicule and argument don't appear to be effective strategies if you're trying to change hearts and minds. Now, this is something I've insisted on. When I talk politics online or social media, the last thing I will do is condemn somebody, insult somebody, call them names and things like that, because I don't believe that the way to win hearts and minds is by doing it that way. You don't do it that way. You turn people away from your argument. If your point is trying to create an argument so you draw people in, why would you call them names? Why would you mock them? Why would you insult them for what they believe? Oh, you just don't know how to think. Oh, geez, you need to go back to school and study, and it's like, shut up. Now you just lost me. I'm not going to listen to anything else you have to say. And so at the core, conspiracy beliefs are often rooted in lack of trust in institutions. So when conspiracy theories are related to science, like with flat earthers or anti-vaxxers, it means that science educators have to revamp our efforts, being mindful of what works and what doesn't work. Empathetic listening or empathic listening is usually the best place to start. Now, I will admit, first of all, I'll say I'm a pretty good empathic listener, but I have to admit, after the last 5 years of listening to all the garbage out there, all the insults, all the name calling, I'm a Nazi, I'm a xenophobe, I'm a homophobe, I'm anti this, I'm a genocidal maniac. all of those lumped up with I'm such a bad person because of who I voted for, in their point of view. After a while, you just get a little tired and you just go, shut up. And I'm going to tell you why you need to shut up, you idiot buffoon. Or some other choice words. So we don't always hold our cool. I don't always hold my cool when I'm dealing with those people. For the most part, I try to win people over. And by the way, once again, for those of you entering the show late, the camera's shaking only because we're in the makeshift studio. So I can touch the table like this and I'm shaking the camera. So it's because our internet is poor here. I have to use the phone to get on the internet down here in the makeshift studio. And so the phone is mounted on something that's not as sturdy as it should be. So one of these days we'll be back in the real studio and we won't have that problem. So if you're entering late, that's what you're seeing. The background here, this is inside the camera. Look at that. I lifted my hands off the table and the table moved. And so, and it moved the camera. So once again, if you're coming in late, pardon some of the downside of needing to be in the makeshift studio down here in Louisiana. Amanda says, you do hold your cool rather well. Why, thank you. I'm cool and I hold it well. Texas Joe says, to Corey Blake, we know gravity exists. We just don't know why, other than mass. It's a mystery why it actually exists and why it can actually work. Let's see. Lewis Boy says, conspiracy theory. Sir, mix a lot. Really didn't like big butt. Okay, yeah, whatever. Not a serious point, but a point taken, Lewis. Audrey says, for me, when the conspiracy stuff becomes dangerous, that's a serious problem. What do you think is a dangerous conspiracy, Audrey? Beth Kirkham says, me either. I lose my religion. It's so hard to be the better person sometimes. Isn't that the truth? There are times where I do it just fine, and I've got pretty rock solid patience with people. But I say things that people don't agree with. That's okay. They can part ways with me if they want. But I've had, just on that issue, too many people part ways with me because they didn't like who I voted for. Well, how could you possibly vote for that person and be a decent person? Well, I can be. I could turn that argument around. How could you vote for this person and not be a decent person? Well, your view of that person is that he's not an indecent person. My view of this person that he's not indecent. So you know what? Let's move on. Let's be friends. For those who are so far down the rabbit hole that they're putting out these videos themselves with their identities and sometimes incomes depending on them. And it's not clear what it might take to get someone back down. When beliefs are tightly tied to identity, they can be highly resistant to change. And I think so many people have become so identified with their politics in the last few years that this is why you have people that are drawing these lines and ending friendships and things like that. So I think I've got some people in the studio. Hang on here. Let's see who might be hanging on here. I've got James in Louisiana. James, I'm going to bring you in. Boom. Okay. Oh, I think I may have lost you. Nope. I got you. Hold on. Add to the stream. Boom. There you are. James,
hey,
welcome.
Yeah, I got my son here with me because he's wanting to be fussy unless he's in daddy's lap.
That's okay. You know how many shows I've done with my little kids sitting on my lap.
Oh,
So.
I know. I think the big thing with like the conspiracy theories is almost like a cult mentality. They want to find something that people will grab hold to, and they want to exploit that as much as possible. I mean, like QAnon for a long time was, child sex trafficking and murdering kids for the adrenochrome.
Yes.
And everybody, oh my gosh, kids are in danger. Let's do everything we can to help kids. And it hit the point where that one guy went into, I think it was a Cosmic Pizza or something like that, with his rifle and actually put a round through the ceiling, trying to demand access to the basement.
Yes.
And there are people that take conspiracy theories way too far, and they absolutely believe them to extremes, and it's a cult mentality. If somebody starts something and they just feed on people's wants and desires and try to just play it up and play it up and play it up.
Yes, and I believe you're absolutely right. And, the best way I think to deal with people in these things is to be as tactful as you can, as diplomatic as you can. Talk about things and say, what I say many times to people is, look, I don't want to insult you. And I hope what I have to say doesn't insult you, but I have to say this. And here's my thinking on this. Here's how I believe on this. And I try to ask people without saying, boy, you sure need to go out and educate yourself. Dipshit is the only thing we leave off of that in the unspoken. I try to say to people, why don't you show me your source points so I can I said to somebody today, I said, can you list for me your source points on this whole conspiracy theory you have that President Trump was in on some kind of overthrow of the government? I said, can you show me your source points? I said, help me understand so I can get on the same page with you and we can talk about it. And he never really could. All he could produce was opinion. And I said, that's okay. You can have your opinion. I said, and I never told him he was wrong. I just said, I think you need to look at your sources a little better. I said, go study your sources and find me. I'd love to see your sources on this. And
that was part of the huge QAnon bit was, well, just wait till this day, and then Trump's going to drop this big bomb, and it's going to change everything. And don't do anything. Right. Just wait. Just keep waiting. Don't do anything. Just keep waiting. Don't do anything. Just keep waiting. Don't do anything. And that's all QAnon is just keep waiting. Don't do anything.
Pretty much.
Since we're on crazy conspiracy theories, it makes me wonder if it's like a CIA or FBI thing to try to keep the people on the right under control so that they don't actually do anything.
I wonder about that myself sometimes. Don't keep me waiting. Just tell me what's going on. I'm pretty smart. You want to say it as a citizen. Look, I can handle the information. Why don't you give it to me? That's like, what about the conspiracy about aliens or alien contact that we hear out there? Those things, it's like, well, the government's keeping it from you because they don't think you can handle it. You know what? We can handle a lot of things as a people. So I think
to one of former President Trump's executive orders, we're actually getting releases of supposed, UFO stuff from the Navy and stuff like that right now. But it's being hidden by media, and a lot of the stuff is like, I think that's just really crappy camera recording who knows what. And,
maybe.
If you look back a couple of years ago to, the drone show that was put on at the Super Bowl, a couple of guys that know something about technology with a few dozen drones can, at night, send half a dozen drones up in the air on a computer program and convince half a city that an alien spacecraft is overhead.
That's right. That's right. Well, James, I'm going to let you and your child go because we're almost at the end of the show. I'm probably going to go a little bit over tonight, but thanks for contributing. It's great seeing you. Thanks for calling in again. I love it.
Well, thank you for taking my call.
All right, brother. We'll talk to you soon. All right, guys, we're back to just me. And David Castle says, you were programmed in school to keep placing limitations upon your brain. They want you to put energy into the system they created and use the other 90% of your brain being distracted. Yeah, that's and even that statement, David, I'm not disagreeing with you, but I will say even that statement, some people would look at it and say that's a conspiracy theory all by itself. Who's the they? Why, who is they that wants to do this to you? These are the things that we have to be very attentive of when we put forward what we believe. Joe Sapien says, looks like I may have poor internet. Maybe you do. I know I do over here. Beth says, aliens is an interesting subject, but they're a big. I agree. A big what, Beth? Something cut off on you. Oh, there are bigger eggs to hatch. I agree. But then again, let me ask this of you, Beth. What if we found out there was other life that was sentient like we are, as intelligent as we are, maybe more advanced than we are in propulsion, and they're able to travel here from other places in the galaxy? Would that throw us off? Would that change the way our world works? Maybe. I think that would be a big issue. It would suddenly become probably the biggest issue if we were to find out about a first contact type of thing. So it's an interesting theory. Is it a conspiracy? I don't think it's so much a conspiracy, but James just said as soon as he hung up, his son stopped being fussy. Well, you know, James, that's the principle of the universe. When you're doing something, your kids want your attention. When you're all done doing something, they want to go do something else. So Corey says, I have nothing but good things to say about Q. Oh, you retracted that message. Sorry, it's now published, Corey Blake. I don't know about Q. The jury's out for me because I have no way to substantiate what Q says. And therefore it becomes really a conspiracy theory form. Now, I also wanted to go through tonight everything you ever wanted to know about conspiracy theories. How belief in conspiracy theories is normal, but it's potentially dangerous for us. Why do you think that is? There's a long list of questions that documentary filmmakers reached out with about conspiracy theories. And here's some answers that I think might intrigue you. And we're not going to go through this whole thing tonight because it's already after 10 o'clock. If we were on the radio live over at Odyssey Radio, we'd already have to be done and we'd be going into overtime on the stream. But since we're already here, let's cover some of this, as long as you guys want to stick around. What do you think about conspiracy theories? It's the first question. I'm going to ask you that. We've kind of been voicing our opinions tonight all the way through this. But what do you think about them in general, conspiracy theories? Conspiracy theories have a certain allure to most of us and a hell of a lot of allure for some. And about 50% of the population believes at least one conspiracy theory. So I view them as being a pretty normal phenomenon amongst human beings and in every culture. Well, what do you suppose our culture's conspiracy theory, by the way, looks like to some, I don't know if there's any untouched Aboriginal tribes in Australia, but say you find a tribe that's very third world. Do third world countries have the same question about conspiracy theories? Same types of conspiracy theory? So about 50% of the population believes them. So that makes it, I think, pretty normal when you've got half the people that will believe in them. And they see them as normal phenomena. There's not evidence of people being crazy or mentally ill just because they believe in a conspiracy theory. Of course, sometimes conspiracy theories turn out to be true, which is one factor that fuels belief in them more than not. So on a psychological level, why do you think people believe in conspiracy theories? Are there people who are more likely to believe in conspiracy theories than others? And why? Is there a certain type of mindset, a certain type of psychological mindset or a psyche that would accept these things as real compared to somebody who might not? And by way of a brief explanation, psychology research has revealed a long list of what I would refer to as cognitive quirks that are associated with belief in conspiracy theories. And these include needs for closure, certainty, control, especially relevant to the observation that conspiracy theories tend to arise during times of societal upheaval or crisis, like now, when people are feeling threatened. They're looking for answers. Our lives are feeling threatened. Were there conspiracy theories during the time of impending nuclear disaster in the late 40s and the 50s, into the 60s? There's this teleologic bias, which we talked about earlier. That's believing that things happen for a reason or have some ultimate or higher cause. And other kinds of cognitive biases. There's lack of analytic thinking and higher bullshit receptivity. This is actually a measurable psychological variable. And suspiciousness or paranoia, these are psychological quirks that we all have to some degree. And I like to explain belief in conspiracy theories, somewhat apart from conspiracy theories themselves, within a socio-epistemic framework with the two components. The first component is mistrust and a rejection of official explanation. And the second is biased misinformation processing. And the basic idea is that when we mistrust people or official accounts for one reason or another, we become vulnerable to believing misinformation. What do you think our nation just thrives on right now? Misinformation. Because conspiracy theories offer a kind of antithesis to all the official accounts of things. They're appealing to some people. And confirmation bias is that important factor that we mentioned earlier. When people are looking for information, especially on the internet, where digital forces, filter bubbles, YouTube recommendations, etc., can amplify confirmation bias. As I like to say, the internet creates a kind of confirmation bias on steroids. And you look at the way YouTube is dealing with things now, and a lot of these that will censor you for not saying what they want the rest of the world to hear. That is a problem. Who is the arbiter of what is true and what is not? What is a conspiracy theory? Not? Well, obviously, Facebook and Google and YouTube. So what makes a particular theory invoke belief from those who hear of it? Why are some theories more popular than others? Why is the theory that Bigfoot exists more popular than Mothman or whatever? So while research suggests that some people are drawn to conspiracies in a general fashion, where belief in one conspiracy predicts belief in another, even if these theories contradict each other, that's not always the case. Looking more closely, we see that particular conspiracy theories appeal to particular people. For example, conservatives in the US these days may endorse a variety of conspiracy theories that are aligned with their political ideologies. But belief in other types of conspiracy theories don't fall along political lines, and some align with more liberal ideologies. So people with lower scientific literacy tend to find conspiracy theories related to science more appealing, but not necessarily other kinds of conspiracy theories. So I think belief in a specific conspiracy theory is more about a match between certain themes with certain people, but often pivotal traumatic events like the death of JFK when he was assassinated, or 9/11 in most of our memories. These demand commensurately grand explanations. A lone gunman on the grassy knoll, a mundane group of terrorists, or an explanation that basically says that shit happens, or that things happen randomly due to chance, aren't very satisfying to a lot of people. So conspiracy theories that address these kinds of events tend to have much broader appeal. What's going on in the chat room? That's a fair question that Texas Joe asked. I've got to look back. David Castle says, Elderberry, I agree, and label it as a conspiracy theory. Automatically separates and divides. They love labels for that reason. Texas Joe said something along that line up above. I'm gathering. I don't know how far back to go. Texas Joe says, Scotty's laying it down tonight. Yes, I am. Trying to. Doing my best. Pay attention, y'all, he says. Pay attention, y'all. You got to add the y'all on there to make it. Pay attention, y'all. And so, Texas Joe, it was one guy that spent years with the owners of 4chan and 8chan. The Q followers were swindled into believing in a false hope. Maybe. This is the thing, Audrey. We say that, and I probably would agree with you 100%, except I got to put the caveat on there. Maybe. We don't know for sure. I think what conspiracy theories do is they appeal to our doubts about how probably pretty ordinary, bland, and mundane the world really is. I think the world is it run by, as Michael Myers said, is his own Scottish father, and so I married an axe murderer. It's a little known fact that the world is run by five families: the Gettys, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, and so and so and so on, and Colonel Sanders before he went teats up. So there's that theory that's out there. So is it mundane, or is there more mystery than we think? What pops into my head is what Carl Sagan once said. He said, "My parents instilled in me two very important things. One, the need for the scientific method. Two, that the world is full of wonder. The universe is full of wonder. Never lose your sense of wonder." So Joe Sapien says, "My apologies for lagging out. Perhaps it's not my time. Perhaps it's somebody behind the scenes trying to keep you out of the chat room." There's a conspiracy theory for you. So Audrey says, "Like I said before, Texas Joe, there are many good people that were taken advantage of by that movement, and it became dangerous." Maybe so. The QAnon movement? Maybe so. Don't know for sure. Let's see. James says, "You can find someone online who believes whatever you want to believe to justify your beliefs in yourself. Ain't that the truth, James?" Audrey says, "Okay, let's see the people that are sitting in jail right now for what they did at the Capitol. Gave up their freedom." Yeah, they believed in something. There's 10 of them that were indicted that we know of that are sitting in jail right now. Mostly the oath takers. There may have been some other, well, there were others as well. I know that. But they believed in something. It was a handful. When you got over 500,000 people at that protest on January 6th, a peaceful protest overall, and you've got 10 to 20 people sitting in jail indicted for conspiracy against the United States government, that's a very small percentage point. So yeah, you had a small handful of them that believed in their conspiracy theory. But the question is, were they wrong? Maybe wrong in the way they carried out their actions, but was their theory wrong? Was there something to be afraid of about the forward momentum of this nation? There's where the big question lies. So what does a conspiracy theory do? It not only sucks the people in that need to believe in them, it can have the people who are intelligent thinkers go, I can't just disregard what's being said. Maybe there's something to that. We've seen that too many times through history. Scott Allen says the Vatican. Yeah, there you go, Scott Allen. So, time is it? It's 10:14. I saw somebody say, Corey Blake said it's 11:12 there. You're on the East Coast. Dihydrogen monoxide. Dihydrogen monoxide is one of the most dangerous chemicals on the earth, and it's in everything. There you go. It's in everything. Texas Joe says, Audrey, I mentioned one documentary, and you think that's the extent of my knowledge. LOL. Well, I'm in the middle of that one. Didn't mean to be. Sometimes one documentary can sum it all up. All depends on what the topic is. All depends on what's going on. So, Beth Kirkham says Oath Keepers. Yep. Oath Takers, I think I said. It's Oath Keepers. Who killed Ashley Babbitt? We still don't know why she was shot. Was she shot by the guy in the suit because he felt he was protecting something? Was she shot for smashing a window? Was she shot because smashing the window on that door represented the actions of what the person who shot her thought was going to be followed up by the hundreds of people behind her? Was her shooting legitimate? Yeah, I think she stepped out and did something she shouldn't have done. You can hold to the belief she had without breaking into the Capitol. Now, of course, she, along with many others, were led into the Capitol. It's what they did once they got in there, trying to break into the chambers. And she got shot and killed for it. Teresa says, be good, Scotty boy. Thank you and love you, and say hi to Sam. I will do. Teresa, thanks for being here. The Bermuda Triangle, yeah. Bigfoot, yeah. All of those things. James said it was mostly peaceful protest. Only the protesters paid for the protest in blood and their life. Exactly. No name has been given, just that he was plainclothes. You can see him in the videos, partial side profile view of him. So, why was she shot? Did she try to stab another woman in the neck with a knife? No. She was right on top of the door as they were breaking the glass out of a door. So, I would think the threat of a gun, as opposed to the pulling of the trigger, may have been sufficient. But we don't know that. Did she bring it on herself because of where she was and what she was doing where she was? Maybe so. I might have even agreed with her premise. You might agree with her premise. Well, how she carried it out was the wrong action, and it cost her her life. It may not even be she who cost the life. It may be the way the person who shot her was interpreting her actions. There you go. No justice, no peace, says Doug Stack. Yeah, she was unarmed. That's very true. But do the Capitol Police have deadly force if they believe a mob is going to storm the chambers? I'm not arguing with you at all, Texas Joe. I'm just asking that question. I think she brought it on herself because she was there and they were doing something there they shouldn't have done, and there were heightened tensions, and sometimes you just have to be careful how you act. Or you act without that caution, knowing that you could be putting yourself in harm's way. Ashley Babbitt served in Afghanistan and Iraq, yeah. Now, if they had known that about her, would they have shot her? To whoever shot her, thought she was just another protester trying to break through the glass. But I don't think that requires shooting anybody either. But what were the people inside thinking? What did the guy who shot her, what was he thinking? You thinking, I need to kill this person? Why hasn't that person been revealed to the public the way a Derek Chauvin was brought to trial for the way he reacted to a criminal? If Ashley Babbitt was the criminal there and somebody shot her for it, why don't we know who this guy is? Yep, Doug Stack, pigs in a blanket, fry 'em like bacon. That's a chant they were chanting in Minneapolis last year. So anyway, folks, we're kind of at the end of this for tonight, but you know what? This whole thing about conspiracy theories, we're going to carry this on for a few days because there's a lot more to this. Probably tomorrow's Thursday, then we have Friday, and we'll probably carry this through because I've got a lot more to say on this. Yeah, the police department was on the other side of the glass. The police were also all around her, if you remember. As soon as she fell after being shot, who was she standing in? A circle of police officers that were up on the staircase right behind her. So the guy who shot, having Capitol Police with him on the other side of the glass, did he not notice that she had police all around her as well? That's an interesting thing that's going on there. Yeah, Corey, may she rest in peace. Yet James says, white folks have burned down how many cities in her name? Same thing happened to her that happened to George Floyd, only different circumstances. They were shot by somebody in authority. We think in authority. So many facts we don't know about that. But why wasn't he brought up on trial and charged with manslaughter, third-degree murder, so on? I agree with you. So, folks, tomorrow we're going to talk about what separates believing in conspiracies from believing in other things, such as religion. Is there a difference? Can you believe in God? Can you believe in a devil? Can you believe in a heaven and a hell? Can you believe in angels and demons and all of those spiritual, religious things? But are those conspiracies? That's an interesting question. We're going to look into that a little bit tomorrow. So, guys, save some for Saturday, Scotty, says Lewis. Yep, I'm going to be on with Lewis with somebody's show on Saturday. He'll give you all the details. He'll post it. Nancy Pelosi said she's a good street fighter. Yeah. Now pull this leg and it'll play Jingle Bells, Nancy. All right, guys. We're going to call it quits for tonight. You know why? Because it's about 10:20 and we got to be done. We should have been done a while ago. And so I want to say with my whole heart, live long and prosper. And I will see you tomorrow night. Good night.
You're listening to the Intrepid radio program with Scotty Roberts. Intelligent Talk.